Hello and welcome to the UK Flooring Podcast. Something a little bit different for you this week. We recently ran Momentum, which was a business conference for flooring professionals in Newcastle before the National Flooring Awards. And this is my keynote speech from that. Something a little bit different, something you might find interesting, and the struggles and how people get through things, and predominantly how you make great decisions in a high pressure environment. Sit back, enjoy the show. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button.
Today is a bit different. There's no carpet samples, no sales pitches. Well, there is a sales pitch, but none of our team are doing it. Someone else is. What I want to do is give you some sort of information of when I had a flooring business and then to where we are now. And if something along the way that I say or the hit squad that I've got that will be on this stage through the day resonates, that's all I want. As long as you get one thing, or possibly two or three things, that's my intention today. So I need a clicker, is what I need. So there's a secret I'd like to tell you first, but it's quite fitting with my talk. Hesitation to decision. It was one of my biggest downfalls about hesitation. And it got me in some hot water, big hot water. But it also got massive growth. So my Christmas this year was wonderful. On Christmas Eve, I thought, I think the infection I had earlier in the year's come back. I'll just ring 111 just to be safe, because I've got a lot of people coming to see me in Newcastle, and I wouldn't mind coming. I put a lot of effort into this, and as well as the rest of the team. And then at 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve, I was asked to make a decision. And many years ago, I would have made a completely different decision, so we're clear. And the consultant says, so you've got a choice. We can discharge you. This is an A&E with chest pains. We can discharge you, and the NHS will scan your heart in 2 to 6 weeks. But I know from last time, the issue will have gone by then. So the decision I had to make was, do I miss all of Christmas and wait for a quick MRI, which was 8 days. So this was our Christmas. I'm here. I'm very well. I got my MRI scan. Haven't got the results yet. I'll get that later today. But I thought it was quite fitting that I had to make that decision. Do I miss Christmas and sit somewhere where I don't want to be and feel uncomfortable and put myself in an environment? To be really clear of how uncomfortable it is, I was in a 3x3 room, and next door, I think his name was Trevor. Trevor died on Wednesday when I was sitting watching Netflix. And I'm being serious. I was sat there with Sarah. Trevor died. That's not a nice place to be. But so back, there we go, there's big me. Got confused. So we built this business, and I made some choices, decisions. As you can see, they basically involved beer and pizza quite a lot of the time. But it was a decision, and all as business owners, managers, employees, whoever's in the room, we've all got to make these decisions. And sometimes they're hard, but what I wasn't willing to do is make difficult decisions. I would make what some might think difficult decisions. I'd buy 40 grand's worth of stock. I would sign a lease like it was just going to McDonald's. But when it really felt uncomfortable, I fucking ran for the hills. So I wanted to hopefully, if any of you, I know you're all lying if you don't get uncomfortable with certain things, there's something, you'll have something in your being that you're uncomfortable with. I want you to sign, we're going to try and get through that today with my kind of story, and then hopefully you can take this away. And that's why you'll find this is going to be a little bit different today. As I said, there's not going to be carpets, LVT and things like this. It's real business skills that's transferable so you can progress quickly. I'm going to go to that slide. So what I did from leaving school, I associated the pound sign and with success. That's putting it bluntly. So I grew this kind of ego that I got these things to feel better. But I got to this point of just sort of short of 2 million quid. And I thought, is this it? Like, have I made it? And to be honest, I felt even less motivated than when I started out and we hadn't even met the VAT threshold. But I was pushing and pushing, and the thing that was driving me was the pound signs. But I literally felt like I was on a hamster wheel where it was just going and I couldn't get off. And I'm thinking there's got to be more to get more out of life. I want to see more of my children. I want to spend more time with Sarah. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, and bear in mind, for the whole 15 years, it was me and Sarah. I wouldn't really communicate with people. I'd communicate with customers. I was good at that. But I wouldn't go into a room with people I didn't like. If I went to a wedding, I got pissed. Simple as that. If I didn't know people on the table, I'd have a few Stellas. Didn't have a problem with alcohol. I just used it as a vehicle to get confidence. So, and this is the key thing which I'm hoping you guys will take away. I assumed that's who I was. That's what I'd learned from school when put my hand up. I never put my hand up at school because I didn't want to be like, what's the answer? Fucking hide under the desk. But I thought that's just the way I am. But what I realised is I've got to this limit and I thought there's got to be more to life and business and flooring than being stuck. And because this sort of went downhill, my decision making went down with it. So I started making relatively reckless decisions, financial decisions. Completely blankered. I may as well have been running the business with my eyes shut. So, the thing that's mad, and it only dawned on me when about 6 weeks after I had a conversation with Nick from Headlam to say, it'd be a really good idea to stand on a stage and do this and do that. And we do it in Newcastle. And I realised when I first asked for help was the conference room at the Crown Plaza in Newcastle. In 2016, I came here. For all you geography teachers, I live in Darlington, 35 minutes from here. I was that nervous coming to Newcastle. I stayed in the hotel just down the road because it was cheaper. And the speaker basically said, you need to be in the room for 7:30. If you're not in for 7:30 in the morning, I'm shutting the door. I'm like, fucking hell, who's this guy? That guy was Paul Mort, who is over there. No, he's not. There he is. I'm getting confused because me auto cues the next slide. So this is Paul. If you don't know who Paul is, I would inspire you to go and look at who he is. He was the catalyst to calling me out on my bullshit. And I'm like, so I turned up upstairs and just said, I'm on this hamster wheel. And he started asking all these strange questions like, what's holding you back? Why do you feel like this? I'm like, what's he on about? Never spoke to anyone like this before. It's like therapy, but that's what it was. There was 40 guys upstairs, and I turned up. I was absolutely shaking like a shitting dog. But what Paul did do is make me stop in my tracks and ask really good questions, and that's what I want you guys to do today. I'm going to pick on a few people in a bit. But I'll give you this sort of level of when I was working with Paul, we sort of dug into things like the happiest day of my life, which it was. It was great. 2014, married Sarah. Some people know this story, some don't, but I think it's very relevant. My favourite restaurant, beautiful wood floors, there by me. Stone floors, Michelin star restaurant, beautiful thing. I had my favourite suit on. Everything was great. But what wasn't great, even though I was oiled up, would I speak in front of 32 people? No. My best man stood up. Sarah said thank you. Sister-in-law said thank you. Did I stand up in a little restaurant and say thank you? No. Paul called me out on that. Why? Where's my confidence? Where's the... It's just not me. I just don't do that thing. You know, so I didn't give a speech at my wedding. But that was the moment I thought, there's something going on here. So that was one thing I learned. That was the first thing that I'd sort of, we dug into the past of figuring out where this has come from. And obviously it come from school. Very strangely, and I don't know the psychology behind this, William would literally kill me if I dragged him on the stage now. So I'm not going to. But William has a similar fear. So is it genetics? I don't know. But he's not going to get on the stage. But his worst nightmare is to come here now. But I'm stood here. Yeah, because he's like his mother. So, right. So we had a problem. How do we deal with it? Like everyone knows, I hope I'm very good at solving problems. So I took it upon myself. Right, I've got a project. Project Tom. To get me to the next level. I'd done this with turnover, I'd done it with business, I'd done it with fitters, I'd grown this thing, but I'd never grown myself at all. I just suppressed anxiety and cowardness with alcohol and food. That was my way of solving it. There's got to be a different way, because I've reached the limit, and I'm either going to probably do something that I shouldn't, or I don't know where to go. I'm just going to give up. I've had enough of this. So, I then went on this one-man mission to figure out where this is coming from. So I realised I was scared of heights, scared of public speaking, scared of the dentist, speaking to new people. I thought, right, again, remember, I thought that's just who I am. So what I did was I was scrolling through Facebook, okay, and I came across this bloke that was a bit shouty, and at the time he had a business that did what looked like rambling. So we all put like rain macs on, and we go walking in the countryside. Oh, that looks a bit strange. How was that going to solve my shit? But there was something about this guy that I thought, it's a bit different. So anyway, I thought, I'm just going to embrace it. So the way the walks worked, or the adventures, or whatever we want to call them, was they were benchmarked by like an Indian restaurant menu. So I started off on the kormas. So the kormas might have been 10k on the flat, and that was it. I thought, all right, so I did a few kormas, and got speaking to people while out walking, and then, this is good. I feel good. Remember I was 19.5 stone at the time, started dropping a bit of weight, feeling a bit better about myself, and this is different. So I thought, we'll go to the Tikkas. So we went Tikkaing, and we went to the Lake District, and we might do 15k, but with a little bit of mountain in it. And it felt really good every time. And even I got to the point where we were operating at Balti level, we're up to Balti level at one point, and nothing had really fazed me. I thought, well, I've got more to give here. We even had a joke where someone would come on a Balti, and they'd only get halfway up the hill, and then they'd go back to the car, and we're like, see you later. And then what this guy used to do is, very occasionally, we'd get to like the bottom of a hill, and like just out of nowhere, with our rucksacks on, go, right, best effort for a minute up this hill. It's absolutely horrific. So anyway, I've got a point. I'll come to it. But what was on the website and what was there was like the Vindaloo. I'm like, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good to me. And this isn't about distance. This isn't about, not distance, not difficult level. It was about this. And I thought, I've never used the fear side. I've avoided it. But what it did make me do is, I'll walk you through this. So I've right, I'm in. We're going Vindaloo. What have I let myself in for here? So it was 25 degrees in the Lake District, walking up this hill, well, we sprinted up this hill. Great day out, it was just a normal day out. Normal day out, eating, drinking, looking after myself. But on Vindaloo's, there's only the guide and you and one other person, because it can get a bit hot. And that day was hot. And so we'd sort of done a morning's work, pop a bit of graft. And I thought, well, this isn't that bad. I've managed so far. So if anyone has been to the Lake District, there's a certain sort of ridge line that looks like a catwalk, like this. It's about that wide. And it's called Striding Edge, which is, I think is part of Helvellyn. And if you remember, I've got a fear of heights. Probably not the best place to go. But, so anyway, I was a bit tired, we'd had a big day out. And that day did change everything, which was really interesting, about keeping calm and operating at a different level. So picture this. I'd done we'd done some steep bits and I got over it and I'd been supported. It was a great day. It was very professional. But I got to this ridge line. So it's exactly the same width as this. All right. And then you've got sheer death there. And more sheer death there. But you've got to walk along that bit. So I got to here and I froze. And they kept going. And I'm like, so anyway, so what happened was I ended up like this. Right. I'm lying down. The guide comes back. You all right, Tom? Yeah, give us a second. Give us a second. Give us a second. Nah, no, I'm not going anywhere. No, can't stand up. And this is serious, so everyone's keeping calm, no one's taking the piss, and I'm got complete dizziness. I can't see, I can't speak. I'm not in a great place here. Really not in a good place. So the guide says to me, here's a banana flapjack. Right? So I eat the banana flapjack, right? Thank you. And then he pulls another out of his bag. I said, what's that? He said, eat this. There's another 400. So 800 calories in about 50 seconds. Fucking hell. Anyway, so he does this, and I feel a bit more savage. And then what he did was he pulled out like this, a thing like this. Get this in here. And this is strictly dilute with a litre of water. I rip it off and just down it like that. It's called Strike Force. So stood back up. No, I didn't. I had the Strike Force, but still back on the floor. And remember, he's not giving me any hell. He's not giving me any sort of tips or tricks. And he said, Tom, I need you to make a decision. I'm like, all right, go on, hit me. So remember the talks on decisions. He said, right, we can keep going and do what we came to do, or I can phone Mountain Rescue and I'll get you a helicopter. Fucking hell, I don't want a helicopter, but I feel like I need one. And I know that sounds mad, but when you're trying to make business decisions, it's not normally as bad as you need a helicopter. At that point, he was being deadly serious. The only way of getting me from here was death, helicopter, or keep going. Yeah? So, and what that made me do is, when I got that horrible feeling in my tummy, in business decisions later on, I compared it to being up that mountain. I compared it to, would I rather do this, let's say speak to someone that I don't know, or get a helicopter? And obviously I would speak to someone. So it was just a really surreal moment being on a mountain, being asked a question like that, when no one had ever really called me out on it. I was like, I don't know why that moment for me was that changed everything, but there was multiple moments, and that's one thing I want to make clear with this talk. You're not just going to come away from this with sudden confidence. You're not just going to come away with this with like a magic pill. I can't remember the date of this, but it'll have been 2018. So that's when that was, if that makes sense. I'm still a bit wobbly on edges and stuff like that, but so it's not just going to be like a sudden thing, but unless you put yourself in a position, probably not on the side of a mountain like that, but pushing yourself to be uncomfortable, your decision making will be significantly different. You've got a different person lying inside of you, even if you don't think you do. So, I'm going to flick this slide. I want to go to this one. This is probably another easier way to do it. When you are uncomfortable, ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario? That's what I would maybe do. When we do this with flooring businesses and things like that, I've got to make this decision. The easiest way to think, what is the worst that can happen if I make this decision? Thank you, Sarah. I'll keep me rambling going. And it's just a really powerful question. It's such a simple question. Everyone knows it. But what is the worst that can happen? And taking time. So, what your customers are looking for is certainty, confidence, not the ego type of confidence, the Billy Big Bollocks. They're just looking for you to be confident that you know what you're talking. I think everyone in this room knows flooring. That's simple. But if you can't put that across to your customers in a confident way, in a tactical way, you're not going to win sales. It's got to be done with integrity. It's got to be done, and you need confidence. And if you haven't got it, you need to find it and grow it, okay? So there's some studies that you've got 4 seconds to sort of not impress someone, but to demonstrate you know what you're doing. 4 seconds is what they say. From meeting that first customer, 4 seconds. And there's that expression about people buy from people. I think that's true, but I think it's a better expression. Like, people buy from experts, because if I was selling LVT, carpet, wood flooring, but I was a pet food expert, would you buy from me? You know, would you want a Michelin star meal from a really nice McDonald's worker? Probably not. So people buy from experts, but experts are confident in what they do. So if you haven't got the confidence, you need to find a way of doing it. So, and that's what I genuinely think was my biggest, baddest, worst business decision, was not dealing with this sooner. I'm 100% confident if I dealt with my decision making, my confidence, before I dealt with the business, I could have scaled that business to where it was 5 years, not 15. It would have took me a third of the time. And that's not me giving it the big one. Now I've looked back on it, done a lot of work on it. If I'd done the work on myself first, not on fancy vans and Range Rover Sports and all this, I just worked on myself, those results would have been 3 times quicker, which I would have been more happy with. I want you to write something down, because this is how I want you to make decisions going forward. All of you in the Cockerill & Co Alliance, you'll know about a quarterly. For anyone that doesn't, we operate in, there's pens and things in your bags. Quarterlies is where every 3 months we get together, we look what went right, what didn't go right. We've been doing this for years and years and years. And every 3 months, I would implore you to make your biggest decision. So if it's Q1 now, you would decide what your decisions are going to be in the next 3 and 6 months. Then all your small actionable points you either avoid, you would make them through the quarterly, then you reset and go, if that makes sense. So what I mean is big decisions at the start of each quarter, and then the small actionable decisions. So that looks like this. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's what I want you to write down. Big vision, slow. Daily ops, fast and repeatable. So if you've got a big vision, this is where I went wrong. I had a big, massive vision, and I would make decisions off the cuff, bang, bang, bang. And more often, it got me into hot water. Take half a day, 2 hours, a day, I don't care, every 3 months to make your big decisions, and then take the 3 months in between to do the uncomfortable work. The uncomfortable stuff, relentlessly repeatable. And now quickly write down 3 things. because I'm getting told from the back I've been muttering too much. 3 decisions that are currently putting off that you did last year. 2025, what have you put off that you said you were going to do? Write 3 down. Get them down. Because you felt uncomfortable. You know you're capable, but you've just avoided it. William, come to this table here. Elaine, what was one thing? Elaine. Hang on, the mic coming to you there. Oh, I just want to make you feel uncomfortable. Love it. That's good pop. I'm going to do something because you've... Andy, how uncomfortable would it be if I made you stand up? Right, just thought, don't go to Andy. Sorry, I just wanted to just wind him up. I want one more. Bhavesh. Not one thing. You haven't put anything off. Right. Just he's on next. Right. Just do it. So, big decisions quarterly, quick, fast, actionable things, and just step over that and start working on it today. If there's one thing you're going to work on in 2026, find out what you're uncomfortable with, find the right people that can help you. Fast, uncomfortable, and then bring your standard to a new higher standard. Because every time you do what you said you're going to do, you will keep building these little steps of standards in your business. And if you avoid it, you'll get to a ceiling point. And I'm trying to bring the right people today to stop you getting to a ceiling point. So you've got momentum, success, and don't suffer what I suffered. And that's all I've got.